All right, folks, welcome to our session 2, getting started with using Gizmo Science and Math Simulations. This is an abridged version of the full webinar that happened on October 22nd, virtually at 3:45 to 4:45. I'm hoping to just give you kind of a crash course about what we talked about in a shorter video segment. So come on along and enjoy. So just a couple of welcomes and introductions. Please note that this is a product that we've purchased for grade 7 all the way up to grade 12. And in order to get access, you would click on the Wired DSB Gizmos Quick Start Guide. And Lindsay is our Gizmo Implementation Coordinator. And she would get you set up with an account, get you assigned to a particular school, and you can always reach out to her to schedule a 15-minute session to learn more about Gizmos. And then myself, I'm the K-12 Science and STEM consultant, where I would come in as I would support you with implementing instructional practices using Gizmos. All right, so just a couple of reminders before we dive into using Gizmos. Remember, Gizmos is still a yellow tool. It's an external digital tool that we use to support science and math instruction in the school board. And the digital tool assessment process is there to kind of protect the privacy and security of the staff, the students, and the families using those digital tools. Please note that the levels of digital tools is green, yellow, red, purple, and white. And so Gizmos is a yellow tool. There is some risk because students are putting in some of their student information into the tool. And so we need to be making sure that we're getting consent from parents. But great, we actually have a consent form prepared for you, so you can go to the DTAP page in order to get that consent form, both digital and paper version. All right, so let's actually dive into a actual live lesson with Gizmos, a live action session. Let me log in. So when you get an account, this is the website you'd be logging into. I'm going to log in. And when I get to my home screen, this is what it should look like. It will have assigned you to a particular school. So if your school is incorrect, again, check in with Lindsay, who can help you get set up to be assigned to the appropriate school. And what else do I want to show you here? Yeah, so what you'll see is that Explore Learning has a variety of different products. The only product we've purchased is Gizmos. And so you'll see only one kind of product here that we have available. So if you click on that section, open it up, it'll take you to the Gizmo home page. It does take a little bit of time in order to get access to the website, but once you get in and you're logged in with your Wired DSB account, you can see that this is the main page. You'll see all my classes here. So I've just set up some demo classes for you to explore. It does give you kind of recommendations for different Gizmos for you to check out. And then it shares with you the 3 different options. So Gizmo simulations are like the classic Gizmos that are out there. The Gizmo STEM cases are the new ones that have an interactive heat map, and they are lovely. I love the STEM cases. And then the Gizmo investigations, these are brand new. These came out in the last kind of 2 weeks, so I'm not entirely familiar with what they are. But as we get to know more about the offerings with Gizmos, I'm sure more details will come out. As you scroll down, it'll give you Gizmos that they suggest that you might recommend. It'll suggest some STEM cases, and they also have some STEM PD. So if you open this section up, they have a whole ton of little courses that you can take to learn how to use Gizmos on various different topics, etc. All right, so let's get into the basics. How do I even start searching for different Gizmos? How do I find ones that are really aligned to where I want them to be? So your screen should have a little button here that says Ontario Standards. If you click on that, what they have done is they have aligned their Gizmos to both the math and the science curriculum expectations. I'm not going to spend time talking about the math, but I will have a look at some of the science. So for instance, if I was a grade 9 science teacher, where would I go? Or grade 8 teacher, you can actually just click, let's do grade 8. Click on grade 8. And I scroll in here, what they've done is they've pulled the specific expectations and the overall expectations of that course and then made suggestions for Gizmos that would align to those particular strands. Now, again, remember, these are, you still need to use your professional judgment to ensure that the Gizmo is actually aligned to what the curriculum document is saying, but at least it's a good starting point for us to kind of have a look at what the content is and what Gizmos might be aligned to it. All right. So again, so if I was a grade 8 science teacher and I really liked the wheel and axle, I could add it to my class by clicking the little button here, etc. All right, let's just go back and let me show you some more examples. Okay. What else did I want to show on that page? On demand. Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's go into setting up a class. So how might I do that? In order to get started, you're going to need to set up a new class. So again, I'll pretend that I'm a grade 9 science educator and I have a period 1 science class. So I would be really specific with my class name. I'd go Mr. Stams, period 1 science class, and I'd actually type in the course code 1W, etc. It would add this class. The neat thing is you could actually add teacher collaborators. This is a new feature that they have just provided. Now, if you wanted to, there are 3 options of inviting students. You could go to Teach Assist or another tool that has the students' names, and you could import it as a CSV file. That's a bit harder. This one here, create a new student, I wouldn't do this one. It's pretty cumbersome, and you actually have to type in the individual names. The easiest option is actually just giving the students the class code and having them log in. You can make a copy of that code. You can download the student enrollment handbook or page. It'll open this up, and then you could post that to your Google Classroom, and the students could actually write down their code that they need to in order to get in. Once the kids have actually created their classroom, so I'm going to go back home. Oh, I'm going to return to Gizmos. Again, give it a second. It does take a little bit of time sometimes going in and out to different screens. All right, so I'm going to actually explore this one. Okay, so I've set this one up. Nope, that's not the one. I want to go into intermediate science. Here we go. All right. So I've kind of set this one up like I have a bunch of students in the class. I've assigned different gizmos to different grades or units and strands. So for instance, another new feature is once I actually assign a different gizmo, I can actually create the different headings for it. So if you just click insert heading and I want to type in physics, and I can add that, and all the gizmos below this section are all going to be kind of physics related. Oh, no, that's not quite. So I can drag this one back up to chemistry. So you can kind of drag and organize them. And what's neat is to not overwhelm the students, you can actually hide some of the gizmos from students. Because often if you have a ton of them built out and in your list, the student's like, which ones do I pick? Which one do I pick? So you can kind of hide the gizmos that aren't being used and only identify the 1 or 2 that are there. Again, you can hide it. You could remove it from the class. Again, let me just show you really quickly how to add a gizmo. So I'm going to go back here. I'm going to go to Explore. I'm going to go Explore by Academic Standard. I'm going to click on Grade 9 D-Streamed. And I'm going to kind of scroll down and find a gizmo that I think might align really well. Let me pick, periodic table trends. I'm going to click on this little window and type in add to class, and then it'll give me the class that I want to add it to. Again, and if I go back to the screen, the home screen, and go into my intermediate science classroom, and there it is, periodic trends, and then I can organize it into the headings that I've created. Oh, I should also add another heading, Earth and Space. Great. Now I have my units for each of the different units in the SNC1W course, that grade 9 science course. Okay, great. So let's look at the particular gizmo and some of the differences between them. Let's do some of the classic gizmos first. So I really like the ionic bonds gizmo. This is what the gizmo actually looks like. So if we launch it, it'll open up and pop up this kind of interactive tool. You can drag the atoms around, you can show the charges, you can increase, decrease the speeds, show formula. So this is what a classic gizmo is. And then below it, they actually have some little assessment questions for when the students have completed the little gizmo or used the little different gizmo. They do also have some tools that you can use. So there is a screenshot. I'm finding this a bit loud, so I'm going to turn that volume down. You can take a screenshot, right-click an image, upload it to your Google Classroom, kind of demonstrate what they've done. There's also the arrows block, so I can drag in, whoops, let me try that again. I can drag in different arrows from the arrows block and point to different things that I'm exploring. You can also press the help button. So again, I'm going to drag it in and it will like kind of when you hold it over certain sections of the gizmo, it will give you and or the students little tips as to what that section does. All right, one other little tool, there is also sound. You can turn it on and off, etc. In addition to the little assessment that it has here, there are other resources that are available for the teacher. So there's a teacher resource guide. It comes in a PDF, in a Word format. It is translated into French, so that's exciting. There is a student exploration sheet, PDF, a Google Suite, a Microsoft Word file. There is a sample answer key, and there is a suggested vocabulary sheet, which they have translated into French. And from what I've understood from Gizmos, they are working on creating French interfaces for a lot of the gizmos. So stay tuned for when that is coming out soon. And then what's really exciting is that, we're really trying to encourage teachers to move away from using gizmos as the task and use it as an instructional tool. So how might you use this gizmo as a way to amplify the learning in your classroom and use it as an instructional tool to teach about ionic bonds instead of it being a sit-down lab that they're doing on their computers. And so the Gizmos has created supplementary materials that are often put down in this section here that give you different ways of using the Gizmo as an instructional tool. Let me see if I can open some of that one. Oh, I don't think I can. Let's see. Oh, yeah. And it's opening up Microsoft Teams. So I'll give that a second to open that up. Or sorry, Microsoft Word. And let's see if I can drag it into the screen so you can see it. It does give you sample little task cards, which is more of a simple, smaller activity that you can build into your lesson sequence as an instructional tool. Where is this one? Is it this task card? I'll open this one too, and we'll see what this one is. We'll open it up. Oh, it's the same one. So they give you simple little activities that you can do with the gizmo itself in there too. All right, so I've showed you how to set up a class. We showed you how to add it to your class. Now there is one more that I wanted to show you. So this is the classic gizmo. Let's go back to my dashboard. If I go back into my classroom, these are the new STEM cases, and the STEM cases are really cool because they don't require you to have pencil and paper. You actually are doing the simulation right in the STEM case, and they often are having the students tackle a concept through a larger real-world example. So for this STEM case, they're actually going to be learning about the impacts of different species being put under pressure and their population reducing, and how that impacts the entire food chain. So we're learning about food chains and food webs, but we're simulating as I'm a park ranger exploring what happens to different populations with push and pull factors or different biotic, abiotic factors that are limiting their growth. Okay, so it's a pretty cool little gizmo. And what's neat about this is if I launch it, they give you various different versions. So we'll just go into the middle school version. And it's this awesome kind of step-by-step guide. They give you a little handbook beforehand to actually kind of explore some of the main concepts that will happen through the gizmo. And it's very interactive. You're dragging, you're dropping, you're pulling things into place. So a really neat way for them to dive into the content. Then they actually have the case study. So it'll give them the background, they'll go through the scenario, they'll have to collect some virtual data, analyze that data, and as they're entering the data, what will happen is it will go into a heat map that you can see live as the students are going through the content. So it's pretty amazing. I do really like these STEM cases, and there's so many beautiful examples that they're coming out with. So let me just go back and show you a few more. Let's see if I can find that. Go dashboard, STEM cases. Again, really good for, I would say, probably that grade 9 and up. There's a few that I would probably recommend for 7, 8, but a lot of these STEM cases are focused on that secondary level. A lot of really great advanced concepts that are hard to teach, like this idea of cell respiration. It's a really hard concept for students to understand the concepts of it. And so with this STEM case, they're actually doing a deep dive and getting to visualize it, and they're really amazing opportunities for the students to dive into a real world scenario. All right, I think that's all I wanted to show you for now. If you have any questions again about Gizmos and getting started with Gizmos, remember to contact Lindsay. She can schedule a 15-minute appointment with you, and if you have any other questions about other online simulation tools that we have offered to us, again, you can go to the Science and Tech pages under Program Supports, Online Science Simulation Tools. This is the page that kind of goes through where Gizmos are be found, and there are some other kind of interactive simulation tools. PhET is also a free simulation tool that can be used. Pivot Interactive is a paid subscription, so there are some departments that are using that. But do remember that we do have a board-wide license for Gizmos for grades 7 to 8, and you will get free access to that tool. If you have any other questions, please contact myself, Dennis Stam, or Allison McPherson, and please always subscribe to our weekly newsletter. All right, hope you have a great day.